This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where business owners share their wisdom. It's short, to the point, to respect people's time, and because we all know that transforming possibility happens super fast and it leads to lasting results. So enough of that. We have a special guest today. Let's get to this. Question number one. Martha, in a few sentences, tell me who you are and what you do.
Oh, man. Well, hey, thanks for having me. First of all, this is going to be so much fun. I'm excited. I'm excited for fast. So who I am, my name is Martha 𝐶𝐸. That is how you pronounce all of those consonants together really close. I am a business strategist. I'm a growth expert, author, speaker, all of the things. My main focus these days is families. I teach families how to grow multiple income streams from home, utilizing stuff that they already know.
Love it. I absolutely love that. And thank you for the pronunciation of your name too. Because if you're watching and you're looking, you probably said, how do you pronounce that? So yeah, I love that you went right to that. It makes it so much easier. I appreciate that. And I love how succinct, how clear your message is too. Not all of the things you do, because you do a little bit of everything. I can tell, right? You have a lot of experience. But what you're focused on right now, what you're campaigning on, that's really helpful for people to know. So thanks for sharing, Martha. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Question number two. What's the best thing? Come on now, dig deep, Martha. What's the best thing about being in business?
Oh, my favorite thing about being in business is being able to impact people's lives. And that's not the Miss America answer. I don't mean for it to be the Miss America answer, but it truly is. Whenever we're in business and we can do whatever we want to do, what I've found with myself and also with my students and other individuals is that once we get past the point of being able to make ends meet, then you move to the point of actually starting to live from your soul, really. You're starting to live in positive impact in the world, and you get very curious about what that impact can look like. And so that's my favorite thing about business, is getting to the point where you're making so much money that it's not like everybody needs to be billionaires, but I wouldn't be mad if they were. But it's getting to the point where you're making money to the point where you're not scared about whether you're going to be able to make your bills or not. And now you can start thinking about your community, your give back. And that's the thing that sets me on fire. It's the thing that I love about business.
I love it. I love how you shared that. And, there's a little rolled up freedom in there, and just, what every entrepreneur does is like pick a problem, solve a problem, fix it, right? For people, the impact runs so deep, though, the contribution. I think many of us get to a level in life where we just realize that contribution and love and contribution is like the crux of it, right?
It's everything. Yeah.
It is everything. I love that. I love that you framed it that way. I want to dig a little bit deeper. What type of impact? So I know you have vast experience, right? And so what type of impact is your favorite kind of impact?
I love this question. So I love when you dig deeper, because usually I'm like, I'm not going to go all the way down that rabbit hole unless somebody invites me. And so thank you for the invitation down the rabbit hole. The impact that I really focus on, and I reverse engineer it, but the impact that I really focus on is our kids and what our kids see us doing, which then gives our kids the ability and the knowledge of understanding what the world can actually look like for them, because the world looks the way that it does right now because of previous generations, right? Not right or wrong. It just is what it is. The world looks the way that it does right now because of, societally, this is where we've come to. But if we as parents and as adults are starting to work our businesses and starting to become entrepreneurs and look at things in a different way, then we start to create a different world. And so what we do is we show our kids are watching us. Win, lose, or draw, our kids are watching us. And so what are we actually showing them how to do? And so whenever we create this freedom for ourselves, our kids now are able to see that freedom, see what it looks like for them, and then can just up the ante whenever it comes time for them. And that's what I'm always looking at. I'm looking at long game, 100 years past when I'm even around. That's my long game, is what's it look like then?
Love it. So what I hear you saying, this is all about impact. I love this. And I love that you brought the children into it, because that's the future legacy, right? And so I love this. What I hear you saying though is what's really important to you is what you leave in your wake, but also intentional about how you're framing that in the future. Is that kind of nail it?
Absolutely. Because we can have good intentions, but we can be really chaotic and sloppy with how that actually plays out and if it plays out at all. And so we can say, I want for the world to be a better place in the future. Okay, well, that's very general. Now, specifically, how are you going to be able to make that happen? And then get intentional with making it happen on a daily basis. And I think that a lot of people, they look at that big generality of, I want the world to be a better place. And they think that that's good enough. And it's good that they want that rather than the opposite. But I'm going to say it's not good enough, because we need to get specific about what that actually means and take part in the solution.
Well, I love it. You're speaking a language that resonates with me, Martha. So I think she called you, if you're listening and you're general, I think she called you out a little bit, and I'm digging that. So as strategists here on this call, we're pretty intentional. So we're going to dig even a little bit deeper. I love this, Martha. I love this.
Cool.
But question number 3, we hear from, this is a fun one, as a strategist, you're going to love this. We hear from other business owners, they're getting so much business. And I mean, yes, so much business that sometimes the chaos causes overwhelm. Would you be willing to share your thoughts about that, Martha?
Systems. If you're getting so much, right? Systems, screaming it for the folks in the cheap seats. So it's great to have an overwhelming amount of leads. It's also terrible to have an overwhelming amount of leads, because when your experience that you're giving every single one of those leads matters. It really matters. And if you're at an overwhelming tipping point where you can't handle the leads that are coming in, that is their first moment with you, right? That is what they're framing, whether you're good at what you do or not, around, is your first moment that you have with them. And if you're overwhelmed, you look like you've got, you're caught with your pants down, so to speak, right? Like you look like you can't handle business. And so you need to be super careful. And in doing so, really just systems. It doesn't need to be, you don't have to pay somebody a ton of money in order to be able to handle all of this stuff for you. You need to look at what you go through with each person, and you need to be able to systematize it. Bring in other people to help you, support you in systematizing what you're doing. There are some parts of what you do that can be automated, right? There's some parts that's an email that you keep writing over and over again. Throw that in an automation. That doesn't require you. But there are things that do require humans, where you can, as long as you can really be able to detail out what your system is, what you do with every single customer, if you can really detail that out, you can bring somebody in, train them to do what you do, and now you've got a duplication of system. And so that is how you build out, and without having these leads become an overwhelming thing that probably isn't sustainable for you. Because if you have an overwhelming amount of leads, it's a blessing and a curse, because you can also feel like a failure and get paralyzed and quit and think that you just can't do it. You just can't handle it. Whereas it's actually an amazing thing. You just need to build some systems out.
You heard it right here from Martha. Don't become a statistic. Get those systems built. Stop worrying about how much business you have coming in. Start working on those systems. I love it, Martha. Thanks for sharing. Every time we hear something similar, it's always delivered differently. Sometimes it's similar. Sometimes it's, there's a range, but it comes down to systems. You nailed it with one word. Love it. Question number 4, Martha. What other successful business owners, like yourself, of course, should be on the Unlimited Wisdom podcast?
Oh my gosh. The first person I think of is Steve Sims. Do you know Steve?
Yes.
That dude.
What a character.
He's so much honking fun. So he's got a ton. Yeah, he's a character. He's like I joke around with him because we're going to start doing like some events together. And whenever I joke around with him, I'm like, you sort of like educate, but entertain at the same time. So he's a great storyteller, all of the things. He knows his stuff. He's great with clarity. Like, it's just, he's no nonsense. I love the dude.
I love it. So now I get to call you out a little bit. I'm going to send you the podcast that I did with Steve Sims so you can listen to it.
Yes.
And for those of you listening and watching right now, I want you to go and watch that also. I had him on a little while ago. I'm teasing you, Martha. This is fun. I love it.
That's awesome.
No, it's a great recommendation. I love Steve. He's got a great heart. He's got a good character. I love that you highlighted and showcased him. It's great.
Yeah.
Let's get to the crux of this, Martha, with all your vast wisdom and experience, because we know that doesn't come out of a book. It comes from experience, right? It comes from doing the hard work. What piece of wisdom would you share with other business owners?
What I'm going to share with them right now in a very timely way, as we've been through a year and a half of the stuff that we've been through, and this is just as we're recording right now, but people will still, it still matters anytime that you listen to it. So it's still evergreen, but we need to move back to community. We need to move away from, ads are really taking a hit anyway. People are having to spend 2, 3, 4x what they spent before in order to get the same results. So it's taken some people out, some people that were only relying on ads. We need to go back to organic, and we need to go back to community. And so the best thing business owners right now can do is create community around what they do, and support their clients and the people that they work with, support them in a holistic way around what they do. And what I mean by that is, bringing in other people that also support your people, but in a lane parallel to what you do, right? And we really need to support our people in many different ways, but create community around it. It's going to blow your business up, and it costs $0.
I love that. I am all about the community. I'm often writing posts about community, about collaboration, about what that means, about communication, and what you get from that story polling and all that stuff that you're so familiar with.
Yeah.
I have a different question for you, because you're a community person. So I think this will be interesting and be valuable to anybody watching or listening. What I often find, and I'm interested in your thoughts and your experience here, Martha, what I often find is people who have never experienced community before, they've never seen a highly engaged team working. Let's face it, let's be real with one another. There's a lot of people out there in the world who are still in toxic environments, and they're trying to pull themselves out, and they're, pulling themselves up by the bridges, and they've got pits in their stomachs every day when they go to work, and those kinds of things, right? So they don't know how to synthesize. When you say community, when I say community, when I say collaboration, they don't know exactly what that means. What would you share about that topic?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. The way that I build community is I look at, we call it dream avatar, client avatar. There's different ways that it can be defined, but really the way that I see it is it's a version of you in the past. It's a version of yourself at some points along the way. And what were you having to deal with? What was the stuff that was keeping you up at night? All of those questions that you typically ask about client avatar, dream avatar, who your people are. And so to circle back around to what the community looks like, you get those, whenever you're in, and I'm going to say, this sounds really weird, when you're in a container with those people. So I don't mean like Tupperware, but I mean like you're in a container, like whether it's a Facebook group or if it's, Mighty Networks or whatever it is, whatever container, that's what I mean by container. Whatever container you're in with these people, essentially it's where people are able to support each other. They're able to virtually high five each other. They're able to, and I'm going to say this, do life together. And because they all share these similar properties, they all share these similar things about themselves, that all of a sudden they are no longer the only one. They're no longer alone in the journey that they're on. And so whenever we're creating communities for them, we create communities around people that we serve, right? And so for somebody to, if they're in the, you know, if they're waking up and they have sort of like the pit in their stomach and they're not feeling great about life and that sort of thing, what I would do is I would challenge them to find a community. First of all, think about, dream about what you really want in your world. What do you want that impact to be, right? And with no actual limitations in the back of your mind saying, oh no, you can't do that. Just kick those to the curb. But think about what you really want your impact to be, and then get around other people doing that. It's really, look for a community of people doing that thing. And it may take you a couple communities to find it, because not everybody is like you and I, where we really do nurture community. Some people create communities and it's sort of just like plasticky. You know, it's not really helpful. It's just it's an email list in a container, you know, like that's how some people do treat their communities. So you may pop into communities that feel like that. Don't think that it's you. Don't think that it's wrong. Just move on to another community that feels better. You're going to be able to find one somewhere, and then join in and give it your all. Jump in with both feet, because it's where we create real change, is with each other.
I love this conversation, Martha, and I love that you called that out. Plastic. There's a few of those out there, aren't there? But people know right away. So I love how you said that. Don't feel like it's you. Okay, you stumbled across that one. Move on and find something that's right for you. I love it. Yeah. So you beat me to my next question, which is, what would somebody do if they've never experienced that? So you dived right into it, jumped right into that. So I appreciate that, because I think even still today, for those of us who are involved in a lot of communities, who have our own communities and those kinds of things, I think there are a lot of people out there who just, you know, they're taught to be independent. I was taught to be independent, right? I had to learn how to be interdependent. I'm just being truthful, honest, transparent, right? That's authentic. That was a tough one for me. And there's a lot of people, men and women, both, right? All persuasions, who are like, I can do this. Yeah. But why do it alone when you don't have to? That's what the community is about, right, Martha?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yes. And actually, just to even piggyback on that concept, there's, I do a lot of Tony Robbins stuff. I just like Tony Robbins, but there's something that he's been talking about a lot more lately, even, which is a testament to the fact that it's almost like the entire world is now that way that you just described, where we're all carrying sort of this energy about us, where it's like the go do, like at any cost, and like it's very much like that. But it's been, I'm going to say, it's not our fault. It's been bred into us culturally. It's what we feel like we have to do to be able to compete in the marketplace, or to be able to even hang, you know, even be able to be noticed amongst other people, whether it's in our jobs or in our own businesses that we're creating. And there's a really lovely thing that's happening, where it seems like the shift is coming back to, you know what, let me just be who I am. Let me just be precisely who I am, without the like sort of ferocity and the angst along with it. And let me just gracefully be exactly who I am. And then a cool thing that happens is, whenever you do that and you can stand in that for yourself, you now allow other people to be able to do that for themselves, simply by witnessing you do it for yourself. So there's a cool shift that's happening just from people choosing to be themselves. But yeah, I'm not sure where that came from, but I wanted to add it.
I love it. It's a great value. Courage empowers more courage, right? I absolutely love that share. Okay. We're going to get to one or two more questions here. I'm really curious. So your audience is much like this audience, those of you listening, watching right now, right? So we have similar audiences in terms of coaches and speakers and people in that space, and group coaching and one-on-one coaching and all that stuff, right? Yeah. So I'm really curious. One of the things that I've experienced, imagine you have too, one of the most challenging things, especially for newer entrepreneurs, but not necessarily newer entrepreneurs, just something challenging in general in business, is building your team. What advice would you give to anyone in that space saying, how the heck do I build a team? What would you offer, Martha?
This is so timely. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday and I was like, do this, don't do that. Like it was a very big sister conversation with them where I'm like, careful. So building the team is, I mean, you hit a glass ceiling. If you don't have a team, you hit the end of your proverbial rope. It happens pretty darn quickly. You can be very, very successful and then realize there's only one you. And maybe you just don't even love doing all the things that you have to do in your business, because what made you successful in your business wasn't you having to wear all the hats. It's that you were really good at one thing and the other things were okay. They got you by, right? So the one very important thing is don't think that anybody that you add to your team is going to be your superhero. Don't think that a team member that you're adding is going to save everything. I see a lot of people add VAs. A VA is a first ad for a lot of people. So a virtual assistant, first ad for a lot of people. And they think, oh, okay, awesome. So this person is going to be able to do this, 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 and this. And because they can do all of that, I don't have to do it. And it's going to be amazing. What you need in order for them to really be successful at doing this, 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 and this, is that you need to be able to do this, 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 and this yourself. And you need to understand what your goals are with those projects. You need to have done it so you can tell them how to recreate this, how to continue doing these things. Because bringing somebody in to write emails doesn't make you successful, because they're going to be using their own voice to write these emails. You need to make sure they're using your voice. Well, in order to do that, you need to have been writing some emails. You need to have figured out what a successful email looks like for you. What does your audience relate to? What will they open up? You know, like, and that's just very meta. That's like a microcosm of what I'm talking about here, but it's that kind of detail. You need to have already done these things, know what works, and then pass it off to somebody else with good direction of how to be able to do that, or else you're just giving somebody money.
I love hearing this. That, my friends, came right from a strategist who has walked the talk. I can tell you that for sure. Martha, I love that. And I love how you use a very specific example that's simple and easy to understand to illustrate that. So you just, again, the way you walk the talk is great. So
thank you.
This is an interesting question, and then we're going to talk about vacations, and then we're going to get to your website and all that. So bear with us. We got an important question coming up. Everybody ready? Yes. Okay. Martha, you have a great website. I've seen your social presence. It's outstanding stuff out there. What's one thing that if someone looked at all your bio and everything, there's a lot we can get from that, right? And some people do their due diligence, some people don't. What's something they wouldn't know from all of that?
Oh man, that is so good. The first thing that I thought of was that I won a greased pig contest when I was 9, but that's probably not what you're looking for. That
is definitely a fact I would not have known.
But another thing, like a serious thing, is that I used to be a raging alcoholic. It was about 6 years ago. No. I'm sorry. It's longer than that now. It's about 8 years ago at this point. And it was, I was in a really bad place. I was an alcoholic for a really long time, ended up coming out of it because I almost got divorced over it. My husband wasn't going to take it anymore. And it was that kind of like that real stuff that has happened in my world. And that happened before, all of our success and that sort of thing. But that's also the kind of personal development that you really need to go through, be able to make changes like that in order to really see true success in your world as well. You have to be able to kick all the things that do not serve you. Like, I don't care. A lot of people can drink just fine. I'm not mad at them or anything like that. But for me, it didn't serve me. So I had to be able to look at it and say, like, is this good or is this not, like, am I okay with this? Because if I had said I was okay with this, we wouldn't be talking right now.
You know what? Kudos to you. I celebrate you, Martha, for the level of intimacy that you just shared, the level of authenticity that you just shared. I mean, all those words are used, but you just modeled it. You just took something that can be really scary. You know, we have these skeletons in our closet, and you just threw it out there for the world. And I admire you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the kind of courage that we need in this world. That's the kind of courage. You just moved me, actually. It's the kind of courage that we need. That's the kind of courage that leaders exude. I celebrate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the most fun vacation you ever had. Let's switch gears, right? So we work to live, not live to work. So let's bring that mood elevator back on a little bit. What's your most fun vacation?
Oh my gosh. The most fun vacation. I have never been to Mexico at all. And we went to Cabo this last March or April, something like that. And it was just my husband and I think we spent a week there. And that was probably the most fun so far for our vacations. But also I live down the street from Disney World, and we have annual passes for Disney World and Universal Studios. And I have a 7-year-old daughter. And so I'm going to say that every weekend is kind of the most fun vacation, because I really love just being able to, every time it's new. I don't know why it's so exciting every doggone time, but every time we drive to Universal or Disney World, I always look at my husband and my daughter, and I'm like, isn't it so cool that we can do this? And it's like so close to our house. So I feel like vacation is kind of an everyday thing or an every weekend thing, but Cabo was definitely fun.
I love it. I love it. I love Cabo's great. I love this family time. You are literally living the dream life that many people want to live. And you're just talking about how you can share that with your family. That's what this is all about. Martha, I appreciate that. I know this is an investment of your time. You're taking time out of your day to share, deliver value to people. So I really appreciate that. I also appreciate, like I said, the level of intimacy, the level of just being, it's not plastic, it's real, right?
Yeah.
I admire that. What's the website? When somebody listens to this, watches this and said, holy moly, I need to reach out to her. She just really resonated with me. How can they find you? Is it social media? Is it a website? What is that?
Yeah. On almost any social media channel, you can find me at the Martha Krejci. My website's much easier though. So it's withmartha.com. I left the last name out. So it's easier, withmartha.com. And then that's my hub for everything. So you can find social media from there. You can find my books from there and everything.
He has a super sharp website. So get on there. Thanks, Martha. I appreciate you. This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where owners, that's right, business owners and entrepreneurs, they're making 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures, 10 figures. Look, the sky's the limit, right? But it's not really all about the money. It's about sharing their wisdom and creating impact globally. Thanks for joining us.